Welcome back to The Buzz. My name's B, and for today's guest, we have Dino.
Hi. I almost forgot to say hi there because I was like, I wonder there's gonna be more words afterwards.
Nope, we're gonna just jump straight into it. So, as per usual, my audience might not be familiar with your work, so I would love it if you could give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Dino. I go by that on all my social medias. I'm a primarily as of this recording, a Transformer artist, a freelance, or not freelance. What's the word for when you just do it because you want to? I just do it because I want to. Art. Barbies. Yeah, that's stealing though. There's someone that already has that, so I can't really go with that one. That jerk. But but yeah, my hobby is mostly into drawing Transformers. I have several projects that are just aligned with that whenever I get the motivation to do so. And that's pretty much all I do. It's just make a bunch of fancy looking robots.
That's pretty much all you do. I don't doubt that's such a downplay. Oh my gosh, I.
Ah, that's all I do that I can think of off the top of my head that would be interesting enough. Yeah, because there's so many side projects, it's hard to tell like what I should put, like say, because it's like, oh yeah, I try and dabble in 3D modeling when I can. Oh, I do like model kits when I can. What's the other things I do? But it's like there's so many things that's like, what's the main thing that would actually catch people's eye?
No, there's I you've seen my YouTube channel. It is very much just I upload what I want because you try because the thing is like you don't want to pigeonhole yourself too early on, right? Like you love to talk more about the model kits and stuff with you later on because I wasn't actually where you did that, so that would be a fun bit to dive into.
Well, I mean, no, I mean, I was just naming random things that like popped in my head. So I was like, oh, what are things that I do on the side that aren't just Transformers? Since that's the only thing that I do in my life.
I mean you see my backdrop. It's consumed me as well. So
I don't have
actually,
shelves yet, so everything's just contained in boxes. Because
that was me about a year ago at the moment. This is fairly recent.
yeah, I'm
um,
working on building one right now, but it's just not done yet. So I just have a bunch of boxes and a lot of stuff sitting on my desk.
this segues quite nicely to talk about what got you into Transformers. What was your entry point with it?
So all my like, I don't remember a lot of my childhood, but a lot of the memories I do have is that I've had a lot of Transformers growing up from my dad because my dad would get me them because my grandfather and my dad like were somewhat into Transformers. My dad mostly, but my dad would always get me Transformers toys growing up.
Yeah.
Like I made a list too of all of them, and I'm trying to think what the earliest one was. I think the earliest one I had was like the Voyager, Revenge of the Fallen Megatron.
Oh,
I think might
right.
be one of the earliest ones that I remember actually owning as a kid was that one. Like the weird green one, like the tank
Oh,
Megatron, but it was like a weird green.
yeah. Oh, I
It was
remember
either
that.
that
Was
or
that the
Minicon
deluxe one?
Demolisher.
Yeah, no, I
No, I'm pretty
remember.
sure it was a Voyager.
Yeah. This is so. Here's the thing. Like, being a slightly younger fan. Like, I've just missed out on that chunk. I came in about a couple years later. So there's a lot of the stuff where like I know of it, but I've not experienced it myself.
I mean,
So
to be
it's
fair, that movie came out like what, 2000, like
9.
9, 10?
Yeah.
I was like 5 years old. I don't like I don't know why I got a Voyager Revenge of the Fallen Megatron at 5 years old.
Because cool robot. That's why.
Yeah, duh.
So you got hooked into it because of your dad. But what made you stay with it? Because for me, like I got into it because of Prime, and then I found G1 DVD box sets, which I just adored, and then yeah, I just sort of I stuck with it. It just the toys were great, the shows were pretty decent at the time. Was there anything that kept you coming back for more?
I think it's just the cool robots. Because I mean, growing up, I was always like a very creative kid growing up. I was a very artistic kid. I know I like me and my mom were going through drawings and I found an artwork that I made as a kid of like '07 jazz. And for some reason, but that I don't know exactly what has kept me here, but I know growing up, I've just like as I've gotten older, it's just I've always been a very creative person. Like growing up, I was always building. I was actually always building Transformers out of Legos for like a
Yes.
long time,
I got the
and so
exact
I
same
got like
start.
a yeah, I got they're all parts for me. Like I'd have to take apart basically 90% of it in order for it to work because I'm not student scissors, but I mean I still did it.
Was it Mixels that were like brilliant for it? Because you got all the ball joints and stuff. That was,
Oh, like
uh,
Creo.
yeah, Creo,
Yeah,
Mixels,
I used a
Bionicle, that
lot of
sort
those
of.
joints. Yeah, I used all those joints, and none of them transformed properly. Because as smart as I may have been to make Transformers as a kid, I was not smart enough to make it actually work functionally.
There's a reason they have design teams that take 2 years to design each figure. Like, it's
There's
not
a
an easy
reason why
task.
Creo never worked.
I think there was actually, is it Evan? Yeah, Evan on the design team now actually got his start on Transformers with Creo, and he actually designed the only ones that could transform without parts forming. So it's kind of fun. Like, that's
Oh no, we watched the same podcast. That was, I think, the first episode of that podcast that I watched was the Evan episode.
yeah, yeah.
I say that, and you just knew that off like from something else, and I'm just guessing.
No, 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 no. Triple takeover. Yeah. If you when you're done with this,
Okay.
when you're done watching this, go check out their stuff because they have a lot of fun things to watch. Yeah. So you go into Transformers and you're stuck with it because cool robots. What got you into the drawing? You said you've always been creative and always been, building and making things like that. Do you
I
remember
think
what
that
started? Because it's gonna be a while back now.
yeah, I think that creative aspect kind of like melded into the drawing as well. Like as a kid with my creative side being in that field, it was mostly in the drawing field that my creativity was.
Yeah.
Like I was always drawing as a kid. Like I said with that even with that drawing of '07 jazz, like I've been really into drawing pretty much since as long as I can remember. And the only things that I have been drawing are either Jurassic Park or Transformers.
Oh god, I've only just been able to start drawing like human faces, but robots absolutely great. Like my perspective is actually pretty decent
Ooh,
just from
humans. Ugh.
Yeah, they have surprisingly a lot more rules than you would think compared to robots.
Unfortunately, it's annoying.
So you do a lot of traditional drawing from what I've seen of your work. I assume that's what you got started with. But you've also moved into
Yeah.
digital recently. Do you prefer one over the other?
So for the longest time, I did traditional, and I liked doing traditional, and I liked the way it came out. But doing digital always just turned what I always looked at as like a 6 out of 10 into a 9 or 10 out of 10 or like designs
Yep.
whenever I did digital. So I just started doing digital a lot more. With this project that I'm mostly working on, I've moved entirely to digital and started redoing the traditional ones because everything that I've made just looks so much better with it being traditional. I'm digital. One.
What do you find makes it look nicer with the digital then? Is it because it's like cleaner colors or line art or.
The colors, the line art, especially since I do colored pencil, I don't, when it comes to traditional, I don't know if you've seen any of the traditional ones that I
Yes,
did, but not
yeah.
for a while. But especially if I'm doing like a fully black character, it does not come out clean at all. It's just a soup. It looks like a static TV. It's 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 not good when it's like just colored pencil. And just the vibrant colors of everything and the shading just looks so much better with traditional whenever I do it. So I've just learned to start doing that a lot more.
Yeah. So you're saying you're redoing traditional ones with digital for your big project. I know what your big project is, but I don't think the listeners know. So can I get you to talk a bit more about that? Because it's quite exciting.
So the big project, the as I have labeled it, the Teletrans Files project, is a project entirely centered on me redesigning every single transformer that exists, unless I don't want to. Unless it's like if there's something to the point of obscurity, like there's those like little Japanese like handy ones that are specific characters. I'm like, maybe I won't. Otherwise, it's basically everything because I'm an actual nutcase.
How many do you have a list of like how many is on the to-do list at the moment?
I have several.
Oh.
I have 5 lists. I have an Autobot list, a Decepticon list, Maximal Predacon, and then one list for everything that doesn't have a specific label, like mercenaries, Terrans, stuff like that,
Yeah.
has like a separate list. I actually wrote down, because I went through, so I had a feeling you were going to ask that question. So I went through just the Autobot list and I wrote down how many I think I had. It's hard for me to tell because everything's numbered, but then I have other little sections next to it for characters that go along with them.
Yeah.
Like it might go like one, two, three, and then it will have like Blaster, and then over to the side we'll have all those cassettes, and then we'll go to the next number after Blaster.
Yeah.
So all the cassettes won't count with the number at the total. So it was hard. I had to like go through and count every single one.
Oh
So
my
just in
god.
the Autobot list, it's currently around 1036.
I'm sorry, 1,000 over. It's over 1,000.
It is over 1,000. I
Oh,
think the Decepticon list is bigger.
are they at least mostly like repaints? Can you reuse the line art? Maybe.
It depends. I mean, any character that is a repaint of another character, maybe. Unless I chose to. Oh, wait, no, the Decepticon list is a lot shorter. That's right. The Decepticon list, I didn't actually count it out, but I'm pretty sure that one's like more towards 700.
Okay, that's marginally more reasonable.
That's marginally more. And then the maximum Predacon list I know are like maybe less than 100, if not 200.
So does this mean we're gonna see a Dino version of Tusks and Scrounge?
If you can find a Transformer on the TF Wiki, it will most likely be made. It doesn't matter what it is, what deco, it is most likely going to be made.
So what possessed you to do this? Because this is not an easy undertaking.
I
Like,
don't know. I I think it's part of me. I started doing redraws of Transformers. I see people doing it all the time of doing their versions of characters. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And just over time, it doesn't help that I also really like making lists, like Google Doc lists of things. So I was like, ooh, let me just write down everything that I find for some reason. It also helps that like as I was going through during the early years of the project, I a lot of people started liking to see characters that they never heard of before.
yeah,
Like I know the first time I ever posted G2 Sandstorm, I think it was before that the Generations one came out. I can't really remember, but some people had never seen that before, and having it is fun to like show people characters they've or geckos or anything they've never seen before. And so that's part of what my project is.
yeah. I think I remember seeing one of Tailgate. I think he did. in like a European
Mhm.
deco or something, and he blue and red or something wacky like that?
It
Like,
was yellow and green.
well, it's completely
It
off.
was from a toy catalog from 1984, like a little blurry image. Because sometimes during that era, they would just have that big open camera shot of all the toys they had that were coming out. And for some reason, Tailgate was yellow and green.
I think some of those were prototype figures, right? Or like they were early. I want to say they're prototypes for the US release and not the Diaclone variants, because they had different colors of their own, right? And some of them didn't even get released in Diaclone once it got imported.
I think yeah, some of those are Diaclone specific. Anything Diaclone related, Hasbro's been doing good at making them their own characters.
Yeah,
And those I have on the list in a separate section because any Transformer that has been Diaclone before is also on the list because they're
right.
technically Transformers now. I am trying so hard not to delve into GoBots. I'm trying so hard not to add more to my plate by looking at GoBots because there's Sidekill and Crasher that have been Transformers before, and I'm like, oh, but if you're gonna do that, then you might as well do Leader One and this and that.
You got what? Scooter, Puzzler, like there's so
There's
many.
so many, and it's like I can't. I have I don't think I put Crasher or Sidekill on the list specifically for that reason, because if I were to do them, then I would feel compelled to do the other GoBots just to match with them and appeal to those people.
I do appreciate that GoBots is getting a lot more love lately, because I remember when I first was a fan, like an awful lot of people would sort of take the mickey out of them, and it still happens sometimes, but I appreciate now that it's a bit more like, yeah, GoBots are cool, whatever. Like it's as it should be, in my opinion, because I had some fun designs. Um,
I haven't looked too much into GoBots as much as other people have. I haven't really delved into that space much. I know very little about it and the story, and I've seen a lot of the toys and stuff, but that's about it.
so when you're doing your redesigns, do you have any artists that influence your work? Because it's got a very sort of, I want to say, almost more than meets the eye comic book style to it, kind of like a more detailed G1 take.
hmm That is because the fact that my art style over the years is entirely based on Alex Milne's work. The way I draw joints, shapes, all of that is entirely because I studied robot shapes and stuff from Alex Milne. All the joints that I make are especially relevant of that because I use the exact same joints for every character, no matter what, and it's all in that Alex Milne style. Because I like cartoonish realism. It looks realistic, but it's also still very much that cartoon design.
Yeah, I feel like ones like I think Prime's a good example of it being a good balance, where like they're obviously
Mhm.
cartoon characters, but they're shaded realistic, and I think it's yeah, I think it's a lot more
That and the
aesthetically
vehicles are
pleasing.
very realistic as well in Prime. The vehicles are really realistic, but the robot models are show a lot less of that of
Yeah.
the vehicles.
So was the because Alex Milne did what More Than Meets the Eye and The Lost Light and I think a couple others. I'm not sure. Um, was that part of your introduction to Transformers as well? Like you got the films and then the comics kept you, or was this just a separate discovery later on?
It was a separate discovery later on as I became. I think it was when I was in started my teenage years. I started reading, getting deeper into Transformers. When I started finding out more about the comics, I would read More Than Meets the Eye while I was at school
Hmm.
all the time, every time an issue came out, because I love More Than Meets the Eye so much.
I have a lot of fond memories for that because I was just the right age for when they were coming out. That it was like yeah, I remember getting them as the issues came out at my local comic book store, and you got stuff like Tarn and the DJD.
Man, I
Uh,
wish I did. I wish I collected comic books like that. I only have issue one of More
I
Than Meets the Eye.
I've got I want to say up to 40 something. I seem to remember there was a bit of
Ooh.
gaps in my collection because not always the comic book store would actually get them as they came out. There was some gaps, and I've had to go
Oh
back
yeah.
afterwards. But I've read a decent chunk. Not as much of the Lost Light, sorry. But yeah, definitely
Last
watched More Than
night.
Meets
No, no, not the
the
last night.
Eye. We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about this.
Yeah. So
I
what
love
was
Lost
it?
Light. Lost Light was a good sequel.
So what was it about Alex Milne's work that you liked? Because I mean, I obviously I like it because cool robot design. But was there anything more particular about that?
I always liked the more, I don't know how to describe it. It's the same way with my style. It's cartoonish realism is the only way I've ever thought to describe it. Like it looks like it would be real, but it's very cartoonish in nature with the way it's colored and styled. But you can also definitely see that in a live action movie with that exact design just put up there.
Yeah, it looks more like a feasible design than say the G1 models.
Yeah, exactly. Like mine are all realistic vehicles with more cartoonish robot modes.
Yeah, and your joints, especially, you're talking about taking those from Milne's work, and they are actually what really sells it to me. Because as for my Blender models, like that's all you need to do is just add a little bit that makes it look like it could move. And as soon as you start posing it, it's like, oh yeah, no, that just your brain just sort of goes, yep. Even if mechanically it's completely wrong, like as long as it looks like it can move, yeah.
That's why I don't do drawings with poses because it never looks right on different angles. I can never do other angles properly. Like,
So you tend to stick to like sort of what's the word, orthographic, like sort of front on minimal perspective.
yeah, I've been doing that all my life, like ever since I started doing Transformers, and I've never grown out of it with, especially when it comes to my character sheets that I
Mm.
do with that project. I've never grown out of doing like a front on position. Don't know why. It it might look better, but it also scares me, especially with how far I've already gotten.
When you're doing stuff like you are with like redesigns and making model sheets, it's actually better for if any other artists want to look at your work later on and say animate it or make a 3D model based off of it. Ornographic reference is the best. You don't have to worry about perspective messing things up.
Oh
um,
yeah, I guess so. I was
yeah.
worried that that would actually make it worse because you can't see more details backwards.
That is the only thing is that like ideally you need as many references from different angles as you can. So like front on, back, side. Um but like
That's what I've always seen is when people make artwork of my designs, all the side stuff they always make up on their own. And I always find it interesting whenever people make up what is on the sides with my designs, whether original or otherwise.
so you've gotten people doing fan art of your fan art then.
I've had I'm trying to think if I've had any of my canon designs, if people have drawn those. I think I've had a couple of my Combaticons have people redrawn them before. But otherwise, a lot of my original characters have had, because I do a lot of original characters as well. A lot of those have had people draw them before, whether by art trades or whatever the case.
That's got to be kind of an amazing feeling, right? Like somebody liking your work so much they want to have a crack at it. Like
Oh, it's scary. I'm like, there's no way.
I'm still
It's good. It's not that good. Calm down.
I think you're downplaying it. I'm gonna ask you for some images afterwards, so that I can put on screen occasionally because
Oh, I have them all. I have all of the ones that people have drawn for me on saved to my phone. So that would be pretty easy.
that's brilliant. So another thing I wanted to ask you about is your Dino, right? That's your name. I noticed there's a
Mhm.
lot of interests in dinosaurs for you. Was this around the same time as Transformers? Before or
No,
after?
I've been clinically obsessed with Jurassic Park all my life and dinosaurs, just everything to do with it. That's actually the only shelves and displays that I have up right now because my grandma gave me some shelves. I have a Jurassic Park shelf next to me.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's my second favorite franchise. It's always been one of the cornerstones of my upbringing is dinosaurs from Jurassic Park and stuff, as most boys tend to be, apparently, stereotypically.
I still have residual dinosaur facts rattling around in my brain from when I was like 4 years old. And I'm like, that's a Paracephalosaurus, that's a Brachiosaurus, Ankylosaurus. Like, it's just a bunch of these like random. And then, yeah, you come up with a new Jurassic Park movie, and I'm like, why do I know that that's a Therizinosaurus? Like, that's a really random. Okay, fair enough. Uh,
Both when it comes to Jurassic Park, just dinosaurs in general and Transformers, when it comes to stuff I like, I tend to hold a bit too much information in my brain. I could probably rattle off more than several hundred dinosaur names if I had the time. I hold a bit too well.
I'm gonna have to ask a really awful question now. Do you have a favorite dinosaur? Can you
Of
pick a
course I do.
favorite?
Is that even a question? I have a shrine over there, and one of them's a Transformer.
Ooh, well, I gotta know now.
Because Hasbro had to be the blessed people they had during Kingdom and give me a Styracosaurus, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you remember it during Kingdom, Ractonite, the white fossilizer.
Oh, yes.
That's my favorite dinosaur right there. And you have no idea how excited I was when that got released.
I didn't even realize
I've never jumped for glee higher.
because he's not Triceratops, right? They've got the different sort of crest or whatever you call
No,
it.
all no, all ceratopsians are different. That's my favorite kind of dinosaur, or ceratopsians, stuff like Triceratops. That like species have always been my favorite, and I've studied a lot of them, both of their genetics and like not genetics. I'm not a Jurassic Park scientist. Their biology and stuff for drawing purposes.
Yeah.
Because one of my main side projects that's not related to my main project is about making transforming dinosaurs.
Yep.
So I've been learning a lot of what's the word? Biology and like the form of them through that.
And so these are characters that aren't. So this isn't just remaking the Dinobots. These are like brand new
No.
ones, right?
Yeah, I have an even longer list of names for that of just every dinosaur that I think or animal, prehistoric animal that I thought would be interesting that I've made into Dinobot-esque creatures. Like they're scientifically accurate dinosaur modes with that turn into Dinobot colored robot modes. Like they all have the general Dinobot color scheme of the gray, white, and red.
Yep.
Because I love the Dinobots. Because who would have guessed that my two biggest franchises, Transformers and Dinobots, who would have ever guessed that my favorite team out of any Transformer would be the Dinobots?
I
Who
I
would have
had no
guessed?
idea. I mean, it's got to slightly frustrate you though when you see like G1 Grimlock because like he is not anatomically accurate in the slightest.
I don't mind that much. It was a different time when they had different perspectives of how things looked. Like whenever I do my Grimlock redesign, I'm probably going to keep it with that general stance. Like I was thinking about making it more scientifically accurate, but G1 Grimlock's like hunkiness and just chunk of his dino mode just is what makes him so much fun. I'm probably going to keep him with that chunk factor.
He comes across as like the dudes in those old Godzilla costumes that are always just sort of trying their best to like.
Yeah, exactly. Oh
I
no,
think.
you mentioned another ballpark that I'm interested in. How dare you?
Oh, Godzilla! I didn't know that.
I'm in so many franchises, you have no idea. I'm a fan of way too many things.
Is that a bad thing though? Is that a bad thing though? Like I
It is when you want to spend money.
True. No, yeah, no, never mind. My problem is that I want to make props from all the different franchises and stuff, or like miniatures and
Oh my
things, but it
God.
only,
Seriously.
yeah, like I would love to do some Hermitcraft dioramas. I mean, I've been working on an Iron Man action figure, and it's like, but Transformers is the stuff that's doing well on my YouTube at the moment, and it's like, uh, I gotta just bite the
Did you see
bullet,
that
I think.
really cool 3D printed version of Scarland that he got?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
That was so cool.
I may have figured out how
And
to use the code to do that.
I went to the guy's profile and he made a big model of Decked Out season 2 as well.
Yep. Yep. And he uses the multicolored filament printers, so you don't have to paint it either, which is kind of
So
nuts.
cool.
Yeah. For anyone not knowing what Hermitcraft is, it's a Minecraft SMP server. It's been going on for like what 10 years now, I think. Um,
Yeah, Charlie on season 10.
yeah, I would maybe one day I'll get one of them on here. We'll see.
My dream is to somehow end up on the Imp and Skids podcast by whatever means necessary. I don't know what I'd be on there for, but I would kill for that. Hermitcraft, being on Hermitcraft is too much of a stretch. I will at least aim for that.
Yeah, no, they are. They're they're ambitious with their builds, I must say. I mean, I feel like it's kind of obvious how I got into 3D modeling because I started with Minecraft stuff myself. It's a bit of an obvious
Hmm.
transition. Um,
Yeah.
were you a Minecraft player then as well? Like, was that because I you said
Oh,
you
I'm
dabbled in
still a
bits of
Minecraft player.
yeah, yeah.
I play every chance I get. I love Minecraft so much. It's one of my favorite games. Actually, I think it is my favorite game.
I can
As
second that.
basic of an answer as that is.
No, I think it's a game that's deserving of that title in a lot of aspects.
I mean, it is the best-selling game in the world, so yeah, it technically does deserve that.
And yeah, yeah, I think it outsold Tetris now, didn't it? It has done for a while.
It outsold Tetris for like years ago. It's been the highest-selling game for a while, which is always why it's so weird that people think of it as nothing but a kid game.
uh,
I
well,
always find that so fascinating when people have that perspective. I'm like, oh, it's only for kids. I don't know why you people are wasting your time with that.
so you like Minecraft and you like Transformers. I assume you've seen that new collaboration they've done, right? For the
I have, but I don't want to spend money on it. I want to see what it is and how it works. Then it looks so weird. It looks more like a Roblox game mode than Minecraft.
I heard it described as almost like what if there was a PS1, PS2 Transformers game like that? Like it's got that sort of yeah, and
Yeah,
a
I
little
could see that.
I quite dig the aesthetic. It's sort of I don't know if it's Minecrafty, but considering we're so starved for Transformers games at the moment, I'll take what I can get. I
Yeah.
reactivate. Are you still alive? Are you gonna reactivate?
No, that thing is dead.
Wait, I
It
still
is so dead.
function.
Does it? Does it really?
What a bet! Uh, oh gosh, yeah. So, getting back on topic with some of the arts and stuff like that, like the
Hmm.
drawings and things like that. You say you do model kits and little bits of 3D modeling. How much is a little bit? Because I feel like you can never do like a little bit of 3D modeling. You always get sucked in eventually.
So 3D modeling wise, my brain does this thing where I'll get a really good idea for a project, hyper focus on that for a week or two, and then not touch it again ever.
I know that. I know
And that
that
has
feeling.
happened so many times. Like I made a 3D model of an upgrade kit for Siege, Six Gun, and Kingdom Slammer, and I haven't worked on it since I first made the test print.
I remember that. Yeah, you put that in one of the Discord channels. That was really cool looking. I've got a little
I
six gun
know.
somewhere in the backdrop. I'll have to go dig him out. But yeah, nah, that's he's one of my favorite Siege figures.
Six Gun Slammer are both two of my like top favorite figures in my collection. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool if there was more of these.
So do you own a 3D
And
printer
so
of your own then?
no, I don't own a 3D printer. Any 3D prints that I make, I get from my library. They
Ah,
have
yeah.
a system to where you can order 3D prints through them, which is really helpful. It's like one print a month.
Yeah, no, I had similar. That's how I did I don't know if you saw my Laserbeak and projects like that. They were done on Makerspace printers, and then it wasn't until I want to say this year really that I've started doing my own prints on my own machines.
Okay.
Because they've actually gotten affordable now, which is great.
I plan on getting a 3D printer. So I have so many projects I've always wanted to do, but I've always wanted to wait till I actually get one for myself,
Mm.
just because I want to do a lot of large scale ones.
Yeah, if I tried doing Soundwave on the Makerspace printer, I would have gotten told off. That was a
That's what I'm
lot.
saying.
I think it was 90 hours total of printing.
Jeez.
And that doesn't even include the sanding or painting, so
Yeah, my
yay.
library only allows it's like a 150 by 150 by 150 millimeter space that you're allowed, and it can only take up to 6 hours. And again, it's only 1 month per print.
Right, yeah.
And especially with some of the projects that I have in mind of what I want to do 3D printing wise, I just that's not an I need one for myself. Like I know one of the biggest ones that I've had is I've always wanted to take the G1 cassettes and make them massive.
Like normal cassette size or bigger?
like like bigger,
Oh, like
like
cartoon scale
huge.
bot modes?
Oh,
Like,
that would be like human size. That's insane.
would that be? Yeah, no, Ravage is huge, isn't he? Hang on. Because I
Like
always think of him as
Commander
being.
class Transformer box size.
Yeah, no, he would be, wouldn't he? Yeah, I've seen some people do them out of foam. There was someone who did like a laser beak, and things like that, which is pretty cool. I've never seen a lot of 3D
I
prints
have
with
one made of cardboard right behind me that I made as like a test a long time ago, but it's falling to bits. He
it.
is not having a good time right now.
I some of my earlier projects were all cardboard. I did a cardboard Optimus Prime back when 2020, I think, so like 4 years ago, when I was first learning how to do 3D modeling. I wondered if that would translate. It kind of does, but they cannot take the strength of the joints as they need.
Yeah, I've only made one like posable figure out of something that isn't plastic, but it was poster board. Because my character that I use as my general persona for online, I started out as it started out slightly as a persona, but then it delved into just a character. But anyways, when I first did it, started making that design in my art class, we had to do some a big project for the end of the year, and I was like, what if I wonder if I can make a working figure out of poster board. And so I did. It didn't transform. It was just like a little action, like a really tall action figure, like maybe commander scale action figure, like Siege Jetfire height action figure
That's pretty
of
decent.
my character design.
And so that's poster
Flimsy
board.
as could be.
Was that like what? Like what do you adhesive do you use to glue it together then? Was that just hot glue or does that work with poster board?
I think it was just hot glue. I remember I just used hot glue, poster board, and toothpicks for the joints.
Yes, yeah, toothpicks and pins, they are the best. I still actually do a lot of those techniques on my kit bash builds. I'll do like a sort of kind of like a skeleton almost, and sometimes I use like wooden popsicle sticks and stuff to sort of give it a bit more rigidity. And then I just use the plastic to decorate it because if you just use the plastic as the skin, it's a lot more sturdy than if you try and build the entire thing out of it. There's
Yeah.
there's ways you can cheat and reinforce it, whatever. But when you're just stuffing it full of hot glue and tinfoil, you gotta think about the structural
Oh
integrity.
yeah. Are you planning on making any more fully transformable ones like Soundwave, or are you stopping at Soundwave?
Oh no, I've got a lot more planned. I've got a lot more planned.
Ooh.
I've gotten some people asking for a reflector, which I think would be great. I've got ideas
Oh, that'd
for
be interesting. Like a working reflector?
yeah, yeah. I got to split all the electronics up into each chunk as well, so it only works when you plug it all together. Um,
Oh, that would be so cool.
and then I got ideas for There's one I keep bouncing around for ages, which is like a seeker design, like a chug scale seeker. It's a tongue twister. Um, that it's like color separated, so you could print it out of the colored plastics instead of having to paint it. Um,
Ah,
yeah, I've got lots of
I feel like
plans.
that'd be easy enough. Yeah.
It's definitely the main issue is just because of the scale. It's actually in some ways easier doing it bigger because they can be stronger. When you're
Yeah,
trying
because
to
if you're doing a
print,
chug scale, that'd be like a Voyager.
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty small.
yeah, and I've done it for stuff like the Iron Man action figure that I posted in the Discord. I don't think that's on YouTube yet, but it does mean like
Oh,
anything.
spoilers.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe by the time this is uploaded, we'll see. But no, stuff like the wrist hinge and things because they're so thin. If you don't print it at the right layer height, because layer height gives you resolution. If you don't print it at the
Hmm.
correct resolution, it will just snap. You have to do it at the higher quality, which adds to the print time. And part of the stuff I love for the Seeker is that it's like you could print a figure in a day instead of a week. And so I need to do a lot of testing before I get into that. But no, definitely on the cards.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see those.
So what's next on your agenda? Because this is the interview with you. I want to know what is next on the plans. Do you have any characters that you're currently working on for your Teletran files?
So I'm currently at the very beginning of working my way up to Soundwave. I finished uh what's his name? Uh Wing Thing. I just finished Wing Thing a couple months ago. I'm still in the middle of Rat Bat because I'm using Rat Bat is a repaint of Wing Thing.
Yep.
They're both like the same vehicle and same basic body, but they have different heads, like a bunch of different things that change. Unfortunately, my I just can't bring myself to keep working on it. And I'm like, come on, man. We need
you
to get this done. There's so many to do.
you can't force the creativity when it doesn't want to happen. It's if you
I
do,
know.
it never turns out as good as you want.
Yeah, because of the fact that I have, as you know, so many to do, I made it to where people can request characters.
Yep.
And so, because there's so many, and it's like if I do like 20 billion before I get to one that people like, people are gonna be like, where's this one? Hurry
Yeah.
up. I don't care about seeing G2 unreleased Soundwave. I want to see this guy. Hurry up.
So where do people ask you like where do people vote for that then? For the next character?
I mostly just made it to where people can just ask me on Instagram or whatever. They can just message me and be like, "Oh, I'd love to see you do this." Like right now, I have to have a pretty big list because I don't like saying no to people, so I just kept taking suggestions and requests. I think because of the fact that I have so many requests and all of them are very somewhat known characters, I'm going to split it up and do like once I'm done with Soundwave, I'm going to do some l- less known characters and just like kind of interlay them so it's not just popular characters back to back.
Yeah, because you gotta
I
like
think.
for every Bumblebee, there's got to be a Skull Grin, right? Like there's got to be a couple oddballs here and there to even it out.
Yeah, like I put a poll, or not a poll, but I had asked people on Instagram. I was like, "What are some really obscure characters you would like to see?" And I got some requests from that I'm thinking about going with because I couldn't think because there's so many that I can't just think of some off the top of my head without scouring through my lists. So I'm
It's
thinking of doing the Ransack and what's the other one? The two Ripcord characters from G2. It was like the helicopter and the plane. those figures that had like the ripcords with like the propellers that flew
Oh,
away.
yeah. I think isn't Road Pig one of those? Or no, he's a laser
No,
cycle.
Road Pig is a laser cycle.
Yeah, nah. No, that's what Leadfoot was, wasn't he? He was like when the sort of ripcord
Yes.
propeller. Yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Leadfoot was one of the other ones.
I must admit, my G2 knowledge is embarrassingly small. I love Thunderclash and Laser Prime and stuff. They're awesome, but I
I love G2 so much. It's one of my favorites, and that's why I was really glad that someone requested that. And they are really obscure enough to where I'm happy to do them. Because when
yeah,
you look at my list, like here, like all my request orders so far is Soundwave, Star Saber, Victory Leo, the whole Rescue Bot cast, like the main four Rescue Bot cast,
yeah.
Movie vs. Bumblebee, and then Snowcat and Demolisher from Energon.
So when
So I
you
gotta interlace those with obscurity in order to keep it from me doing some of the popular characters at once.
so when you say every Transformers character, do you mean every version of every Transformers character?
What do you mean?
Well, you're saying you got Movieverse Bumblebee, but I could have sworn you've already done a G1 Bumblebee. Does that mean there's gonna be multiple
So the
Bumblebees?
way the way that I've deciphered this is because when I do a character design, I take every single design of that character and put it into one design.
Yep.
That is how all of my characters have been so far. If a character's design is different enough from a this like if like the best example is with Optimus,
Hmm.
like any G1 Optimus, like flat nose cab, the just pure G1 Optimus was all thrown into one design.
Yep. So that'd be like what Skybound, Devastation, G1, that sort of.
Yeah,
Yep.
but something like Cybertron Optimus is something else. Movieverse Bumblebee is separate because of the fact that it's a muscle car and just the movieverse design in general is so different from G1 Bumblebee.
It's more like a Datsun,
Whereas my
really. Like it's got the like car bonnet
yeah,
and wings.
whereas my G1 Bumblebee design is purely a G1 Bumblebee. It's a Volkswagen, it's like a modern Volkswagen Beetle Bumblebee.
Again, no spoilers, but I'm working on a Bumblebee 3D model of my own, and
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'm really excited about that one.
the beetles are so fun to make. Like if it's a modern beetle or an old beetle or a cartoony beetle, like it's just there's such a fun design.
I got 86B before I got Prime, and he's so cute. I love his, it's so tiny and so squished.
I don't know how well you can see, but in my backdrop there, I got little 86B, 86
He's
Prime right
so
there.
perfect.
They gotta, yeah, I gotta have those together.
Dude, I've been messing with him this whole time in just the past couple hours. I literally just got him like a couple, like maybe 2 hours ago.
Who's that?
Like at like
Optimus.
like 2 o'clock. Yeah, I got Optimus like maybe 3 hours ago.
Oh wow.
And he's absolutely breathtaking. He's so much better than I expected. Although I'm really annoyed, I had to heat up the axe and stuff because the axe got warped.
Ah, dang.
Yeah, I somewhat fixed it, but it was so annoying.
I managed to avoid that, thankfully. I was one of the weird few that got theirs like super early, like by 2, 3 months. For no real reason. They just sent the order quicker. I don't know why. Not complaining.
Oh,
But
I see.
yeah, nah. The only thing I had is like obviously the misassembled heels, and then like a couple of minor paint scuffs.
Mine has the heels too, but I was hoping to avoid that.
I had no idea until people started talking about it in the Discord, and I was like, wait, what?
That's so upsetting.
I still think, though, that he is probably one of the best figures they've made in, I want to say the past 10 years, even. Like,
Oh, absolutely. He's absolutely perfect.
again, I would love to get Evan on the show and ask him about it because he had a big hand in working on 86 Prime, and I just
Yeah.
gotta give him the praise he deserves.
I'm glad I told you about that because I felt like that'd be a really fun thing to.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. We'll see. We'll see. I've sent the message. I don't know how often he tends to check his Instagram or not, but maybe. We'll see. Could happen. Could not. Uh, he's hoping. He's hoping. But for the meantime, I'm
Even
happy
the big
just.
gray box that comes with it is perfect.
Yes. Yeah, the box Prime, 86 Prime is just. The artwork is
Just,
amazing.
I mean, the trailer. I said the box that comes with them.
Oh,
The
the
big
trailer.
gray massive box is just so much fun. It's so like solid and chunky. Because the Earthrise one was kind of always sort of flimsy in its making because the budget. And it's so weird having such a solid chunk.
The thing that really got me was those support beams on the bottom because it's got like the Earthrise one where it's one piece that you flip out, but it's also got those two big blue ones like an actual truck trailer. And I remember only like the Masterpiece had that for years now, and so it was like, wait, they put it on this?
Yeah, I got an upgrade kit for my Earthrise Prime to fix that to give it those struts to make it just infinitely improves it because it doesn't have that massive gap at the bottom. I love
Oh,
how we start behind the scenes. You start off with, "Oh, let's not try not get into tangents this time." It's just been nothing but tangents yet again.
hey, this is a podcast interview type scenario. Like, we go wherever the conversation goes, and we have actually been talking for just over an hour now.
You're
So
joking. You're
I know,
lying.
I know. So this is probably a good spot to wrap it up. I tend not to go over an hour ideally. But it has been lovely chatting with you, and I want to ask before I go, where can people find you online?
The one that people like the most is my main Instagram. The Teletran file is just Teletran period files on Instagram. That's the main one people tend to like. I have a Twitter that's under, I think it should be my new current handle, which is Dynorizer. Or no, it's just yeah, it's Dynorizer or Dino the Dinobot enthusiast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll make sure there's links to all of those in the description so people can just go and click on
Yeah.
those, check it out. But yeah, no, thank you so much for being on, mate. More than welcome back anytime because this has been
Yeah.
great fun. I wish you luck on your project.
Uh, I all I need is a little energon and a lot of luck.
More than you could possibly imagine. Alrighty. See you later.
See
Farewell.
ya.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed that.